All right. Well, I'm gonna start talking. So, welcome to the session that this is the first time I'm giving it. It's called Glitch. Love to learn the web again. And what we're going to be talking about is a website that I like to use for experimentation and learning called Glitch. And what the way this presentation is going to go is that mostly the slides are just going to be me talking about Glitch and going over some of the features, and then we're going to go into a live demo. And I encourage, since once you learn more about it after we go through it, I encourage everybody to participate in the live demo with me, if you'd like to. So to get started, let's talk about me for just a second. My name is Jonathan Daggerhart, and I'm a senior developer at Hook 42, and they're the reason I'm here right now. They are supporting this presentation. Enough about me. Okay, so what we're going to talk about in this session is we're going to talk about what is Glitch, what can it do, how do I use it, and then move right into a live demo. It's going to go pretty quick, and so if this ends up being less than 50 minutes, then I'm sure everybody's okay with that. All right, so what is Glitch? Glitch is the way they present themselves as a friendly community where you can find and build the apps of your dreams. But practically speaking, it is a website where you can write Node apps, or you can write JavaScript apps, or you can code HTML websites. It's a website where you can build other websites. And the focus of Glitch, one of their fundamental sort of approaches while working on this website is the community aspect of it. They very much care that it's a happy, friendly community, and they've even built features. They've built features for their site to encourage that aspect, and we'll talk about some of those. So it is very much for both developers and non-developers, and it's very easy to use, and I personally love it for learning new things. Now, when I talk about it being for both developers and non-developers, I'm not trying to pitch this as some sort of magic drag and drop, like build your app as if it was a Visual Basic situation. Not at all. You'll be writing code, but it's extremely helpful. Another way to think about it is it is like Google Docs for writing apps. So you and I can be in the same app at the same time, working on it together. So what all can it do? Well, on the right I have what they say about themselves, and on the left I just have a list of features that we're going to talk about. So you can very much build apps in your browser. It's got a code editor in your browser. Collaborating on code, one of you hopefully will create an account and log in during the demo, and we'll work on code together. If not, no big deal. It has GitHub integration, so all the apps you write, you can sync to your GitHub account. It has terminal access, so if you need to run some bash commands to clean up or, say, create a file that's hidden, you have terminal access. Live community support. So public and private app access. So when you are creating your project, you can choose whether it's public or private. Easily copy any other app in the system. And that's a huge one that really ties it all together, and we'll talk about that. And also you can easily embed apps. So if you build an app that you like a lot, you can just grab one of those snippets that's like an iframe and stick it anywhere on the internet. Apps have secrets. So if you build an app that needs a special API token, you can easily store that securely as part of your app. And they host the apps for you. That is also super key to what I love about it, because I'm not interested in becoming a reliable Node.js hosting solution, so I let them do that stuff. Now, you can, when you're working on an app, you can even have your own custom domain be the domain for your app, but there's a caveat to that. And the caveat is, you must be a good community member to get access to that feature. We'll talk about that. So, quick glance at what does it look like when you're building an app in your browser. And this is it. This is sort of this is a screenshot of the code editor. On the left, you have your file system. On the right, you have the code you're editing. In this case, it's just a markdown file. But as you're working on the code, it's constantly rebuilding your app and redeploying your app so that you can just see the front end constantly building. So that'll make more sense, like I suppose when we look at an example or play with a demo. But just know that if you start typing, as soon as you stop typing, it redeploys your app to the apps domain. GitHub integration is great. It's wonderful in theory. There's one issue I have with it. So the problem is that they require full read and write access to your entire GitHub account. So what you would want to do, in my opinion, because I have private repos that I don't really ever want anybody having access to, like for clients, for example. So if I were to ever, I don't use the GitHub integration, but if I were to get super into it and decide that I really wanted that feature, I would just make a different GitHub account, and that would be sort of my glitch repository, if you will. Terminal access. So here's a screenshot of in the browser you have access to the terminal, to the shell on your app. So what I've done with this before is, say I need a private data store, like a JSON file, just sort of tucked behind somewhere in the background. I will use it to sort of hide it from the app itself, or to create a SQLite database or something like that. Or also just to clean up some mess I made, writing too many files, you just remove files. So you can just run bash commands. You got full terminal access. It's also got logging. So as your app is building, the screenshot at the bottom it shows just sort of that it's constantly telling you what your app is doing as it rebuilds itself. So errors are really apparent, and if you write console log everywhere in your code, like I still do, then that'll appear as your app is building. Makes it very easy to debug. Give and receive live help. So here's sort of the big community aspect of it. At any point while you're working on your code, you can highlight a line of code, and you can click this little icon that appears to the left saying, ask for help. It's a person raising their hand. If you do that, then what happens is your request for help, which there weren't any when I made the screenshot, appears on the home page near the top, and it says this person is asking for help. And anybody else can just sort of click on that and see your code, and they can see the exact line that's highlighted, and if they think they can help, they can offer to help, and you can allow them to start editing your project. So what you want to do then is say we're asking for help, and someone comes in and they're actually practically helpful to us. Then we credit them after they're done helping us. We say, yes, this person helped me. And that person gets credit to their sort of help account. I'm sure there's just like a number in their database somewhere where they keep track of how many times you've helped people. And as you help people, you open up more features on the system itself. So you cannot actually use a fully custom domain until you help 2 people. And so what they've done is they've incentivized good community participation. And I think that's wonderful. Discovering and remixing. So this is a big part of it also. Every app that's public in the entire system is discoverable. You can go find millions of apps that have already been written and use them as a starting point for your own. And so what I'll do is, and this is sort of the predominant way I'll use Glitch, is say I want to learn something brand new. I learned Vue.js using Glitch. So I'll go to Glitch and I'll search for Vue.js, find an example, and then under that example, there's this remix to your own button. I'll click remix, and now it's made a copy. You can think of it as a fork. It's now forked that project to my account, and I can go nuts. I can play with it. That's now my project. So I've done that with Vue.js. I've done that with creating Slack bots and Twitter bots and Twitch bots and a number of things. So whenever there's something, I've learned that to learn like most of my Node.js learning. So playing around with like an Express site or any of the things you can think about, As soon as I need to learn React because I have to learn it, I'm going to go to Glitch. I'm going to find a couple React examples. I'm going to remix them. I'm going to start playing around. That's how I'll learn it. App secrets. So here we are. Each app you're making has a .env file. And this file is very special in that whenever your app is remixed, if somebody clicks that button and copies your app, they get a copy of your .env file, but only with the variables defined, none of the values. So if you were to come to this app that I've made, that's a Slack command for rolling dice, you would get this env file with the Slack _token equals, and there would be nothing after it. So what this does is this allows you to have a secure mechanism for having secrets within your app, within an app that is public. So by default, if somebody is looking at your app, I'm not sure if they see the .env file unless they remix it. We can play around and look at that during the demo. But if they can, they certainly cannot see the actual value of those variables. And back to hosting apps on your own domain. This was the first feature they released that was based on being a good community member. And so this is the only one I know about right now. There may have been more, but I find it really exciting that they're incentivizing good community participation. And that's done in such a way where it's not about personal credit at all. Really, you get value by helping people. But whoever's helped the most person, that list isn't on the website anywhere. There's no fame to be gathered from helping people. But there is sort of like personal value and incentive there. So what this means practically speaking also is that if you get into this and you want to like host something on your own domain, you're gonna have to sit on that homepage and hit refresh for a couple of days because people help like crazy. And if you need help with an app and you ask for help and wait around for 30 minutes, a couple of people are going to show up and look at your app. I have helped people with apps that I had no business knowing what to do about it, but I wanted that second help. And so I saw one on the homepage one day. I'm like, click, and they were using ARKit to make an AR website or whatever you do with ARKit. And I'm like, okay, this looks like a syntax error. Googled the documentation for ARKit and helped them and got my credit. Okay, so how does one use Glitch? It's easy. It's like every website, basically. You create an account, you find a project you want to remix, or you create your own project, and you're good to go. You can sign in with all these different services. If you sign in with GitHub, I think that's just GitHub's OAuth. I don't think that's actually giving them full right access to your GitHub account right there. That's just the single sign-on aspect of it. All right, so what do I use it for personally? I'm primarily learning stuff, but also since they live on forever, these apps, they're not constantly running, but they do live. So that if I were to go visit one of the domains for my apps, it would take about 3 seconds, but it would start itself up, and then it would stay running until it's idle for like 30 minutes. So they're always available, but not always running. So I have a ton of Slack commands I made, just because it was really fun to make Slack commands when that was exciting. Like IMDb search and weather search and stuff like that. Twitter bots. So the trick with a Twitter bot is you need to keep the app running, but I've learned Twitter's API, Twitch bots, teaching developments to others. I had a coworker at my last job who was interested in learning HTML, and I said, let's get an account on Glitch, and we're gonna collaborate and code a site together. And random Magic the Gathering tomfoolery. I built a number of Magic the Gathering deck builders on Glitch, mostly as an excuse to learn Vue.js or something like that. And whatever, some other random stuff. What should you use it for? What you should use it for is if you're excited about learning new stuff, if you're excited about Or if you've always felt, this is something that I feel like I've heard for 5 years in the Drupal community. It's like, I really need to learn React one day, or whatever it may be. Like, I think Gatsby is new right now. Well, if that's something you're interested in, but you don't want to have to worry about, like, okay, is my Node.js version up to date? Do I have to write this? Do I have to write that? If you don't want to manage the project, you just want to start learning the project, you should use Glitch. So here I've got a number of examples. They were just sort of like off the top of my head, exciting new stuff. I think React isn't really new anymore, but it's still something I need to learn one day. So at the top, these are just sort of random searches of Gatsby, ARKit, which is using augmented reality in the browser, and React. But this is just a super small screenshot sample. There are thousands of results for each of these things. All right, so here we are at the end of the slides part. Use Glitch and love to learn the web again. Up next, we have this live maybe demo. I think our internet seems pretty good here, so there will be a live demo. Before we go into the demo, does anybody have any questions? All right, the overview is over. And now you can also just interrupt with questions whenever you want. So let's see how this goes. Let me close some stuff here. How do you close stuff? There it is. So I'm going to go to Glitch, and I'm going to take a look around at some apps I already have, and then we'll start playing around with some other stuff. If anybody wants to create an account and co-work on some app with me, feel free to, just let me know. So one of these apps I have, let's see, what are sort of the easiest to demo? Let's just go to all of my projects. I'm logged in, and so here are all my projects. Apparently I've just got 15 at the moment. I'll delete stuff whenever. Lots of Slack commands. So we can look at one of those first. Let's look at Slack Dice. I know where that is, and I'll open my Slack. This can't be too dangerous. Just don't read any of my personal messages, internet, because this is going to be on YouTube forever, I guess. All right. So here we are. Okay, there we go. So I got Slack open in one window, and my Slack Dice app. Right now, in this little preview window, it's showing me the preview for my app, but my app has no front end. So I'm just going to click and edit the project. And here we are. This one's very simple. This one has pretty much just the index.js is the entry point, and it's using this library called TinySpec, I believe. TinySpec is just something that'll listen for incoming requests. Let me make this a little bigger. There we go. Y'all think that's big enough? I can go bigger. All right, there we go. I wonder if this can be bigger. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay. So basically, this app, what it's doing, I'll open up the little logger. Let's look at the logs. So the only thing it's doing is it's running a Node HTML server, or it's just running a Node server, and it's listening on port 3000 for incoming connections. And so basically what this does is, since this is now running, it's just listening for any connection. So I'm going to do /role, we'll say 2D20. And now what it's done, let's see if we got any console over here. Yeah, so I've got a little output that I left in place while I was debugging. So this app is just running, and I've got it hooked up to this one Slack account, and that's all it does. It's a roll bot. It rolls dice. So that's a really simple example of something I'll do all the time with Glitch. If I want a custom Slack command I will hop in here. I'll probably just remix one of my existing Slack commands, and then I'll tear it apart and make it do what I want. So let's find something a little more relevant.
So how do you get that into your Slack?
Okay, sure, yeah. So the way you get that into Slack is, first you need to be an administrator of Slack, and what you'll do is you'll say, you go here to administration and manage apps, I believe. Let's see. And under manage apps, you'll find custom integrations, and you'll find slash commands. And under slash commands, whenever you create a new one, you basically tell it what the command is, and you tell it what URL that command should send the request to. So let's look at the rollbot one, and bigger. Okay. So it's just, this command can be whatever, and the URL is my glitch's domain. So I don't know if the singular app is called a glitch. I think the company is glitch. So we'll just call this an app. So if I want to see the front end of my app's public front end, I can view it next to the code like this, which is not very practical because this app doesn't have a front end. Or I can actually just go visit it. And it has its own unique domain. Every app has a domain. And by default, it's a subdomain .glitch.me. So I just told the Slack command, whenever somebody types /roll, hit the entire request to that URL. And I've got a secret token that I'm totally changing after this presentation. And that token, and you customize it a little bit. Basically, it doesn't care what it is. You just name a command and tell it what URL to hit. And then this is me configuring that URL to expect a command. And then what it does is it sort of breaks it up, and I made this custom dice module or library that sort of breaks all the parts of the request up and then creates random numbers from that request and return it. And that's how the whole Slack roll dice goes. So let me find, any more questions about this really simple example? And I'll show one that's a bit more relevant to Drupal Camp Chattanooga. All right. And also interrupt because I don't care. So
real quick.
Yes.
How did you test that when you were developing it? Can you make posts directly in Glitch, or did you have to go back to Slack every time you wanted it?
So basically what I did was I tested everything inside of this, like just running it, like as a function. Mm-hmm. And then once that was working the way I wanted, I hooked it up to the waiting for the request.
You just put in a variable and then run it and see what happens? Yeah,
I just dealt with, so I was looking at the Slack API and I saw that the payload would come with text, and that was part of the, and so then, like, basically I decided what all formats do we want, because it does some crazy stuff. So like I can do 2D 10 plus 4 comma 3D 4 whatever, and it'll roll, like you can have it roll in lots and lots of things, but all of that doesn't matter. What matters is that Slack sends everything as part of the text, the payload.text, and knowing that, it was just up to me how I wanted to use it.
And so did you just look at the console?
Yeah. Yeah. So, and another way, so the Slack API told me that the payload was coming in with a text value. And, if I was debugging, if my command wasn't doing anything, I would console log here and see what was actually coming through. And I should probably use this example to demo a little bit more about the stuff I talked about. So you notice that when I typed that, it relaunched the app. So here I'm changing the app, and then after I stopped working, this little spinner happened. I don't know if you saw it, but it was over here. And then it rebuilt and relaunched the app. So look at this. Each app, if you build it as a Node.js app, has a package.json. So as I edit this package.json, it reruns npm install, downloads everything that I just define, and then when it's done, it rebuilds my app. So, for example, here we are. One of my dependencies is TinySpec, which is just this library that sort of abstracts listening for a Slack command. But listening for a Slack command is not that hard. It just makes it a little simple by turning it into an event system. So the event I'm waiting for is /roll. But so say I wanted to bring in something like Lodash. They've got a search feature where you can search for packages here. I don't know why I would need it right now. But I can just find whatever I'm looking for, click add. It went ahead and added it here. And now it's installing it. So since I stopped talking, but since I stopped typing, it's reinstalling Node. I can change the version of Node right here. There it goes. So it's reinstalling Node. It's reinstalling all of my dependencies. And then eventually it's going to relaunch the app. And here we are listening on port 3000 again. So you can control all of your dependencies. You can bring in all the libraries you want. You can play around all day in this. And hosting is their problem, not yours. That's my favorite thing. Is like when I very first started playing with Node, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I'm like, okay, I gotta download Node. All right, now I gotta make a server, and then I played around with it for probably 3 months, forgot about it, came back 5 months later, and nothing worked anymore. Like I had probably installed some other version of Node, it was just like nothing worked. And so I could have, if I was a smarter man, I would have used a container or something. I don't know. I don't care. This is my presentation. Y'all can't tell me to use containers. I don't like containers. I like glitch. So eventually I just stopped playing with Node. I learned just enough, but then as soon as everything broke, I said I'm not going to go through all that hassle again to reset up my environment to run something that I'm just learning. And I kind of forgot about it until I discovered glitch. And then I'm like, yes, let them do it. And that's where I've been working ever since on Node stuff. So let me show around the UI so in a case it's not a screenshot. This is so here's some details about the project in this top left. I can change the subdomain that I'm being given up there. I can change the description. I can remix and just make another project from here. I've got a couple options there. The second area, the show drop down, is just like where you can see the output while you're working on it. Because plenty of apps do have output, just not Slack commands. Slack commands don't have don't have a front end. Let's see, down here we've got tools, and this is where you'll find the Git integration. This is where you can open up the console. So if we look, we can find that, here is my app. There is package.json. There is index.js. And I can, they've got these sort of folders where .data is a folder where if you want to store secret data that shouldn't go along with the remix, like a SQLite database or something like that, that's where you put all that stuff. And this is where, sometimes I've had to come here just to fix some weird problem. But it's wonderful that it exists. So let me get out of that. That's the console. Logging. What else? Okay. I think I can shrink this down. Oh, rewinding. This is something I haven't, fully gotten yet. But essentially, they let you go back in time in your app. Say you go down a path, and it's not Git commits. They're not, I don't know how they're managing on their backend. But say you mess something up, and you're like, man, I regret the work I've done for the past hour. And you're not using Git or whatever. Well, they let you rewind your app. You've got a timeline for your app. And I'm going to rewind it to 2 minutes ago. And let's see if that'll happen. Yeah, you see? It's actually keeping a diff. It's showing me a diff of what my app looked like 2 minutes ago before I added. Well, 4 days ago for this presentation, I fixed some of the README stuff. And then 2 minutes ago, I added Lodash. And then click rewind. It's gonna turn my app back in time to what I was doing 2 minutes ago. Isn't that neat? Yeah. Go Glitch. Y'all should use Glitch. So let me find another random project. So I'm just going to go to Switch Project, get out of this, and it's going to show me a list of all my other projects. Oh yeah, this one's a wonderful project. You guys are going to like this one. So what this one does is this. Nope. Hey, I don't need your sarcastic clapping. I'm fully aware of my faults. Hold on, let's see.
You used to say white screens.
Yeah, look, it's Drupal's old white screen of death. Nostalgia. Yeah, let's see. I've got it somewhere around here. Where's the Drupal disco? Drupal disco. There it is. Okay. It's booting up. This is it. This is what this app does. You're looking at it. It doesn't get better, but it doesn't get worse. Thank you. All right. So I don't really remember. Oh, I do remember now. What I wanted to do with this. What's the point of this dumb app, you're asking? It was to learn Flexbox. And it wasn't very valuable to learn Flexbox because I only needed 2 commands. But to make this happen, I was like, okay, so I need to come up with something dumb as an excuse to learn Flexbox. And here it was. And that's it. So that's exciting. And Drupal related. We are no longer off the island. All right. Now,
Source for your image.
it's actually the font awesome icon.
Oh.
Drupal icon.
Yeah.
And I even took this a step further and I made, I made abstract disco where I've abstracted away the Drupal specific icon. And on this bad boy, this party person, you can actually choose which icon it's doing. Look at that. For all you LinkedIn fans out there.
That's a lot more useful.
Yeah, right? You could use this for anything. Okay, all right. Let's all right, I'm gonna switch this up, and I made a Slack command that's actually kind of neat, kind of relevant. You can use it if you want. I don't know if anybody would. But so here's a Slack command that I made that will go scrape the Drupal API website for information about some function or class, regardless of Drupal version or specific to Drupal version. So let me go up here, and sometimes Slack is where I take notes when I'm watching other presentations. So let's just see here. So I've got this one set up here where I'll just say /Drupal. Let's say hook form alter. That one's fun. And what it does is it just hits the Drupal API search, and then sort of like scrapes it for information about whatever it finds. So, for example, let's find one. Let's see. What we want is Drupal 7's hook form alter. And so there we go. That one actually returns the signature, which is useful. But so here's just a random Slack command that I made one time as an experiment, and it's hosted forever on Glitch because Glitch. And you can tell it classes. So let's see, what's a good class? Form state interface. It's not really a class, but there it is. Look, here's all your information about the form state interface. I'm not really sure why you would use this Slack command, but it exists. I had fun scraping Drupal's API site. Okay, so that is, let's go to, where's all of my projects?
I have one more question about
Oh,
the
yeah.
Slack bot. So you said that the apps will kind of go to sleep when they're not
Mhm.
being used. So how, when you're using the Slack bot,
Mhm.
it just pings it and wakes it up, or like how does that work?
Yeah, so the question is, for the recording, the question is since these apps go to sleep, how can you reliably use one for a Slack command or something like that because it's asleep? And yes, so the question was also answered by the person who asked it. And yes, when you issue the Slack command, you're hitting the endpoint. And so the first time you use it, if it's asleep, it might take 4 seconds to come back with the response, but it'll come back. And so the actual request for information from the Slack command will wake up the server, and it'll return your response. And then it'll be really fast for the next 30 minutes until you stop using it. Let's see. So that is, I can show some more. What is this? I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one where I was teaching somebody HTML and CSS. Let's see what this looks like. And that's it. So you can see up here, it shows 2 icons. It's got my avatar as well as this other person who I was working with. If he were logged in right now and on this app, his icon would gain color, and he and I can both type in the code editor together. So if any of you were to create an account and come visit one of these apps, and I granted you access to be a collaborator, then we could co-work on this app just like a Google document. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else as far as my apps that's really demoing something valuable. We talked about the package JSON, how if you change package JSON, it rebuilds, it reinstalls, and as you edit code, it rebuilds and redeploys, and sort of the various areas where you can access stuff. I think now let's leave the editor and sort of look at the broader Glitch homepage. Maybe 5 minutes, and then we'll probably wrap this up. Okay, so here's my page. Okay, so here's what the Glitch homepage looks like. First of all, I love the aesthetic, so I'll hear no criticisms of this.
One of the reasons I first sort of glossed over it because it just looked really cutesy.
Right, yeah. Well, expect Drupal Camp Asheville 2020's website to look like this, because I'm doing it. So you can explore easily. They feature apps. I've had my abstract disco app was featured one time, which was great. So as they find something they like, they'll feature it and they'll advertise it for a week on Twitter and stuff like that. And I find a lot of really interesting things. They definitely like to feature fun, random stuff. One of my favorites is there's an app on here that generates a random quilt, and then posts that quilt to Twitter. And so let me find the Twitter. Let's see. Oh, this is going to get Twitter's a cesspool. So let me just see if I can find the quilt bot real quick. Nobody read any news? All right, there it is. There's the quilt bot. So here's the quilt. So it randomly generates these quilts and then posts it to Twitter. And so here's the Glitch page, and I can. She provided her link to the editor there, and so here is her Glitch hosted Twitter bot quilt generator. And I've looked at it, and I think I understand the pieces. Like this generates the quilt. This pushes it to Twitter. I get how she's like keeping it alive and stuff so that it's just like randomly every couple hours it pushes to Twitter. What I didn't understand and what I was here for was how do you generate a random quilt? And I didn't go deep, but I just really am a fan of this project. And I discovered this project because it was one of the featured projects that they were advertising. Glitch has a weekly zine. They do a magazine. Basically, if it's corny and seems like it's straight out of 1996's internet, Glitch does it. And so they have a magazine that they release as a PDF, and I read it. I'm a fan. So let's go. They've got the different categories you can discover just by seeing what's featured. And you can find, if you're looking for something random and interesting and new, the featured projects are going to be where you're looking. Like, you just want to see what weird stuff are people doing with the internet. Let's see. I mean, I don't even. Oh, there was one that was a. Let's see. We're close to Appalachia, Blue Ridge. There it is. So this app randomly generates Blue Ridge Mountains. I guess I wonder why it's at night. Sometimes it's at day, and the color changes. But that's it. That's all this app does. And I guess, oh, there it is. We can change the color. Where do we change the day, the time of day? I don't know. But that's a random one I found. Oh, he's got history tracking there. Okay. But let's look at something. Okay, so I'm trying to pitch this as a way you should learn. So let's look at something we're going to learn. Somebody tell me something they want to learn. And if not, I will tell you something I want to learn. D3.js. So I'm just going to go up here and search for D3.js, which is used for data visualization, really fancy charts and whatnot. And next time I have a hankering to learn something, this is where I'm going to start. So here we are with practice examples and scatter plot graphs and practice and heat maps and force graphs and whatever. This is the first place I'm going to look. And once I have a project I want to play with, I'll open up the official documentation in another tab. And that's how I'll learn D3.js. And that's pretty much it.